South African citrus is exported to more than 60 countries across the world. Even though only 67% of the total citrus we produce is exported every year, exports generate more than 90% of the income generated by the industry. It is therefore extremely important for us to understand where the different citrus types are exported to and what volumes each export market absorbs. We also need to understand that there are standards set by these markets, which all growers and packhouses must comply with.
We're going to just firstly look at the overall split in terms of how the 2 million odd tons of citrus that's produced in South Africa is divided between export, processed and local consumption. On average, 67% of citrus is exported, then 25% is sent to processing, and then 8% is consumed on the local market. But if you actually look at the different varieties, there's quite a big difference between what the breakdown is between those different types of markets. Oranges, for example, 73% of oranges are exported, whereas only about 10% is sent to the local market and the balance is processed. Grapefruit, on the other hand, most of it is exported, just under 60%, and then the remaining 40% is processed with very few sales on the local market. Of the Valencia crop, which is by far the biggest portion of citrus, approximately 42 million cartons of Valencias get exported a year. That's 15 kg equivalent cartons. Most of that fruit lands up in Northern Europe, about 35%, followed by Southern Europe of about almost 16%. Another key market for the Valencia growers is the Middle East, and what's grown as an important market over the last couple of years is the Russian market, and that takes about 10% of Valencias now. If we take on average that about 12 to 15 million 15 kg carton equivalents of grapefruit are exported each year, the pattern that we see where that fruit goes to is quite different from the other fruit kinds. Japan remains a key market for grapefruit growers, and we see that reported here under the Far East figure. 34% of grapefruit goes to the Far East. In 2008, we exported about 7.3 million 15 kg equivalent cartons of soft citrus. Soft citrus has historically depended quite heavily on the UK market, particularly for the Satsuma type soft citrus varieties, and that remains a key market for the South African citrus export industry, taking a full 44% of the crop in 2008. Because of the requirements that are now placed on growers in terms of both food safety and phytosanitary requirements, it's necessary to know very early on in the production cycle where you're actually going to be sending your fruit to. When one considers the food safety and quality requirements, the DOA published minimum quality standards, which include food safety, and all growers need to recognize these and apply them in on their own farms. I'm going to briefly talk about what's in those minimum standards. Essentially, that there's general aspects looking at quality and safety of the product, ensuring that there's no biological, physical or chemical contamination in the citrus that's exported. They also specify minimum standards for packing and how the product needs to be displayed for inspection. There's a traceability requirement. Each and every carton of citrus exported from South Africa needs to be traceable. In addition to that, there are specific marking requirements that need to be applied to the cartons. On one hand, to facilitate traceability, but also to facilitate the inspection process of citrus. One of the key food safety requirements is to comply with the maximum residue levels of the importing country. The CJ and CRI, Citrus Research International, publish a document that specifies the MRLs, the maximum residue levels. In addition to that, also indicate what the usage restrictions would be for plant protection products in order to achieve those MRLs. Growers are advised and strongly encouraged to use that document, as it gives them the assurance that when their product arrives in the overseas market, it's found to be legally compliant with the residue requirements in that market. Growers will also need to realize that there are specific phytosanitary requirements for each market. Each market's requirements do differ. In addition to the official requirements, growers again encouraged to consider what the buyers are looking for in terms of additional certification. and special private accreditation schemes that may be over and above the minimum standards. This is an aspect that is commercially driven. Examples might be a global gap audit, or global gap certification, or BRC certification, these types of private schemes.
The Citrus Growers Association makes available market information throughout the citrus season to all citrus growers in South Africa. In addition, a statistics booklet is produced every year with all the information of citrus produced and exported during the previous season. To find out more about these publications, please visit the website of the Citrus Growers Association at www.cga.co.za.